another.
That's right. It's a he said situation. Both guys say the other one is lying, but the difference, of course, is James Comey delivered his testimony under oath already, knowing what the penalty would be if he lied. Now President Trump says he's willing to do the same.
No collusion, no obstruction. He's a leaker.
A defiant President Trump says he's willing to testify under oath about his conversations with James Comey.
So he said those things under oath. Would you be willing to speak under oath to give your version of
100%.
After restraining himself during Comey's testimony on Thursday, today Trump is going on offense.
Frankly, James Comey confirmed a lot of what I said, and some of the things that he said just weren't true.
One day after Comey made clear he thought President Trump lied, Trump accused the former FBI director of lying under oath. But he refused to say whether he has tapes of his conversations with Comey.
I'll tell you about that maybe sometime in the very near future. Oh, you're going to be very disappointed when you hear the answer.
This as Trump and his allies adopt a questionable defense strategy, insisting the president is in the clear because Comey testified that Trump was not under investigation when Comey still led the FBI, but arguing other parts of Comey's testimony are a fraud. Trump insisted he never asked Comey to back off the investigation into former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn.
I didn't say that.
So he lied about that.
Well, I didn't say that. I mean, I will tell you, I didn't say that.
And Trump also said he never asked Comey for loyalty.
And did he ask for a pledge of loyalty from you? That's another thing he said.
No, he did not. I hardly know the man. I'm not going to say, I want you to pledge allegiance. Who would do that?
Both statements that directly contradict Comey's testimony. And while the president may feel exonerated, members of his own party are still airing their concerns and saying the president crossed a line.
The president asked Mr. Comey to do an inappropriate action, and that was to drop the investigation of General Michael Flynn. That was clearly inappropriate. It crossed a boundary that the president should not have crossed.
Now remember, President Trump is the one who initially raised this idea that he could have tapes of those conversations with James Comey, and they've basically been playing coy about it at the White House ever since. Well, it seems like that game is going to be coming to an end as House and Senate investigators say they want to see those tapes.
I'm sure they do, and we will find out if they do exist. Also tonight, House and Senate investigators are now calling on the White House to turn over any private recordings of the president and the FBI director. Ryan Nobles is out front on Capitol Hill tonight. And Ryan, the president is not even saying if those recordings exist, although he continually brings it up, continually encourages questions about them. What are you learning about the requests to obtain them?
Yeah, that's right, Aaron. I mean, that speculation has just been swirling around Washington since the president sent out that tweet on May 12th. And now House intelligence leaders would like to put that speculation to an end, firing off a letter today to White House counsel Don McGahn, demanding to know whether or not these tapes exist, and if they do exist, to hand them over to the committee. And they've set a deadline. That deadline is June 23rd. That would be 2 weeks from today. And they're also looking for those memos that James Comey wrote after those interactions with President Trump. They've sent a letter to Comey specifically asking for him to hand those over. And, just like the tapes, the memos are something that many here in Washington have been asking for some time. In fact, the Senate Intelligence Committee has demanded those memos for quite a while. They talked about it often during that hearing where James Comey detailed what he wrote in those memos. They've now sent a letter to Daniel Richman. He is the Columbia law professor who Comey talked about, who he gave those memos to, and then Richman eventually handed them over and talked to reporters about them. Everyone wants to know what happened in these conversations between Donald Trump and James Comey, and it seems as though leaders here on Capitol Hill are getting a little bit closer to getting some more insight into that. Aaron?
All right. Thank you very much, Ryan. And out front now, James Gagliano, former FBI agent, Paul Callan, our legal analyst, John Dean, former Nixon White House counsel, April Ryan, White House correspondent for American Urban Radio Networks, Mike Rubino, former senior advisor to the Trump campaign, and Dan Pfeiffer, former senior advisor to President Obama. John Dean, let me start with you. President Trump says 100%. He is 100% willing to speak under oath. How significant is that?
Well, if it becomes one-on-one, it's going to weigh in favor of Comey for this reason. He made contemporaneous notes of his conversation. Those actually have evidentiary value. A good prosecutor or a good a lawyer, just if, depending on the circumstances, can bring that into evidence, and that will tilt most juries, if not the American public, in their opinion, unless they're just looking at it without any, just coldly, without any partisan viewship of it. It favors Comey, clearly. I mean, overwhelmingly.
So Paul, Comey says Trump is lying under oath, okay? And Trump is willing to say Comey's lying under oath. So who is lying?
This case goes no place on that evidence because you have one person's word against another person's word.
But you have the memos, as John points out.
As John Dean points out, that is some evidence that Comey's testimony may be getting more credit. But very few sets of jurors will convict on the word of one person against another. Usually you need, and the corroboration here is just a memo written by one of the witnesses. You usually like to see other corroborating evidence, and I'm not seeing it so far.
Well, of course, there could have been people in the room. Right, the Navy stewards who allegedly were serving them, they, I'm sure, will be brought to testify or in front of the special prosecutor.
Well, and other evidence might be the president's history of demanding loyalty oaths from his aides and employees. Yeah. That's going to come out in evidence as well.
Which is something, James, we have heard a lot about this president. Loyalty, it is important. It is the most important thing. I have known him for a dozen years. I know this, as does anybody who has interacted with him. Comey says the president requested a pledge of loyalty. The president today didn't leave any gray area. He just said, it's not true. Here he is.
There'd be nothing wrong if I did say it, according to everybody that I've read today, but I did not say that.
So he said those things under oath. Would you be willing to speak under oath to give your version of
100%. I didn't say under oath. I hardly know the man. I'm not going to say, I want you to pledge allegiance. Who would do that? Who would ask a man to pledge allegiance under oath? I mean, think of it. I hardly know the man. It doesn't make sense. No, I didn't say that, and I didn't say the other.
Aaron, careful, Mr. President. This is reminiscent of Kenneth Starr compelling William Clinton to testify and give a deposition in the Monica Lewinsky ordeal. I have been on CNN. I've been full-throated, robust, unwavering in my support for this director. I believe of the 7 that we've had, I served under 4. He is a man of impeccable credentials, honorable and decent. I think he ceded the moral high ground. I do. Yesterday, when he began his testimony...
When he admitted the leak.
When he admitted the leak, I was disappointed and disheartened because he ceded the moral high ground. The president now controls the narrative. The president now can go, you're taking the word of a leaker. Now, a leak is an unauthorized disclosure of unclassified information. Anything within the 4 corners of a document that you draft as an FBI agent or FBI director belongs to the government. And for Director Comey to give that to a surrogate to leak to the New York Times, he's given the narrative back to the White House.
So, April, you now have been to countless press conferences with this president and other presidents. You hear James saying that he got the moral high ground because Comey admitted to leaking. Was the president taking a stand today when he said 100% and it's just all untrue? Was it convincing?
He took a stand. But what would be convincing more so is once he actually does do what he said he would do, under oath, have a deposition. I was there when Ken Starr deposed William Jefferson Clinton. That was a chilling day in the map room of the White House. Now the question is, years later, will this happen? People want to hear the truth. Yes, right now it's he said. But right now, even with what's happening, James Comey has credibility, according to the American public. This president has thrown this issue in the atmosphere by tweeting it. And now we have to find out really what's going on. So it's left up to the president to stand by what he says. And the question is, will he tell the truth?
And Mike, here's the thing. The president wants to have it both ways. Because today he said, listen, Jim Comey tells the truth, so much so that he vindicated me. And then in the next breath he said Comey's a liar. Here he is.
We were very, very happy. And frankly, James Comey confirmed a lot of what I said. And some of the things that he said just weren't true.
So the president says Comey vindicated him because he told the truth, and then he said Comey's a liar. So, Mike, how can both be true?
James Comey committed sins of omission and sins of commission. He publicly corrupted all of his trust, and the reason he did that is because he has a messiah complex. So what we've seen is this is a gentleman who wants to do both partisan and political things from a nonpartisan and non-political organization. He has no credibility left. Donald Trump is 100% vindicated, and there's really nothing left here but political theater.
So you think he just made it up? So this meeting happened, and he decided to make something up and write it down, and then not say anything about it, and wait, and then one day he's going to come and share this made-up story?
James Comey has obviously been never Trump from the very beginning. He has done things to constantly undermine the president and his agenda. He has 3 opportunities to do something for the president, and it was very simple. All he had to do was remove the cloud from the president, and that cloud was, sir, you are innocent, and he is innocent.